Now, let us go and see what is the situation in India. So, in Indian scenario, I have divided it into two. One will be for rural and one more will be for urban. Okay. So, first let us check out what are the state or what are the statistics or what are the situation in terms of rural conditions. So, first point, as you can see, open defecation is a huge problem in rural areas. So worldwide, what that 17% is there, and even in India, what that 40% people who are still don't have that access to hygienic conditions. Basically, those go for this open defecation. Okay, imagine one person going for an open defecation. Okay, imagine going him for there for 30 days. Obviously that particular area will be losing its value. Similarly, imagine thousands of people who are going for open defecation every day throughout the year, then you can imagine how much worse that particular condition is going to be in the rural areas. So I am not trying to defame anything over here, but the severity of this, if you have that improved sanitation, it is well and good. If you don't, then for those people, it is being very much difficult to be assessed. Though it has reduced, but the practice has not completely vanished. So the second sentence is saying that itself. Open defecation has reduced in the recent time, but still it has not completely vanished. Still there are certain percentage of people who tend to go for open defecation. Lack of priority to safe confinement and disposal of human excreta poses significant risk manifest in the sanitation challenges facing the nation today. That is usually Indian mentality, if I need to say, and especially for the older generation, where they are living in a rural area, right? So few of them are having a good mentality, but few of the people they don't have proper prioritizing of the issue. Okay, they feel that in the house, if there is a toilet, it indicates that you are defecating or you are spoiling the house by defecating inside that house. Okay, but if you have that particular toilet, so such kind of a mentalities are causing this unhygienic conditions by defecating outside. Okay, so that's why this lack of priority or else their particular mindset needs to be changed if we want to improve the sanitation in the rural areas. It is estimated that 1 in every 10 deaths in India in villages is linked to poor sanitation and hygiene. So again you can check out. So every 1 person in 10% who die in villages is because of poor sanitation. Diarrhea, it is a preventable disease. So we cannot say that diarrhea happens to everyone. No, we can prevent this diarrhea from happening with proper sanitation facilities. It is the largest killer and accounts for every 20th death in India. So you can imagine that in rural areas, for every 20 deaths, one death is because of diarrhea. And this diarrhea can be easily prevented by maintaining proper hygienic conditions surrounding you. So again, throughout the world we have just studied. Now we are going through the rural statistics about the sanitation. Around 4,50,000 deaths were linked to diarrhea alone in 2006, of which 88% were deaths of children below 5. So, again, 4,50,000 deaths in 2006, only in 1 year, and that too only because of this diarrhea. And out of this 4,50,000, 88% of the deaths were for the children who were of the age less than 5 years old. So since the small children will have less immunity power, definitely their health is going to get affected more. But you can imagine even how much scope for improvement is there for the rural India. Okay, prevalence of child undernutrition in India, 47% according to the National Family and Health Survey 2005-6 is among the highest in the world. That is undernutrition. So the children, or what we say is as malnourished. So that is, the children, they do not get proper nutrients and carbohydrates for their particular growth. Why they don't get it? Because of the economical status. Why the economic status of the Indian rural areas are less? Because there is no proper hygienic condition. In turn, they are unwell, so they are not able to earn more. Again, it is coming back to that particular point. So 47% of the children, as per 2005 and 6, even though these data are a bit old, only 10 or 15 years back, but still you can see 47% of children is quite a high number. Okay, this might have reduced for now, but even that particular percentage still exists. Studies shown that the education of children, especially girl child, is also significantly impacted by the poor sanitation. So even for the in the rural areas, for girls to get go to school, right? So they need to have a proper facilities, so that even they will be comfortable. Okay, so if sanitation is not provided at a school, then definitely it will become a bit headache for girls, even though we may not think of this as much, but for emotionally and for their comfortness, basically it is going to become a very huge hurdle. Okay, so girls are often forced to miss the school or even drop out of education due to lack of sanitation facilities in their schools. So that's why I hope now you can imagine why right now our prime minister is concentrating more on these building of toilets, making hygienic conditions, as well as for providing these what I can say, for cleanliness. Why he has, that is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So all those things, why it has been elaborated, is because of improvement in this particular sanitation. Another impact of poor sanitation and the resultant illness is the loss of productivity of the family members. So what I just told even in the previous slide is, because of this unhygienic conditions, they are unwell, and because of that their performance or productivity level will reduce, and in turn the amount or the capacity with which they are going to earn the money will be again less. It is also known that lack of adequate sanitation leads to significant losses for the country. Again, if a family member is losing his daily earnings, okay, imagine for an entire village, for an entire district, for an entire state, for an entire nation. So everywhere such problems will exist if proper sanitation is not being maintained, and that too in rural areas. Basically we are facing this lot of difficulties. The adverse economic impacts of inadequate sanitation in India, as reported in the study based on published details like sanitation coverage, child mortality, etc., as of the year 2006, was of the order of 2.4 lakh crore, or rupees 2180 per person. So you can check out, because of this unhygienic conditions, per person, okay, in as per 2006 survey, 2180 rupees per person is being what I can say is an economical loss. So multiplied with the entire population of the country, then you are going to get the entire economic loss for that country. Okay, this works out to 6.4% of the GDP. So GDP is nothing but gross domestic product, right? So imagine that 6.4% of our GDP is being lost because of unhygienic conditions. Because unhygienic conditions, people are not able to work efficiently. In turn, their economic status is less, and because of that, now you can imagine, only one person, one family doesn't matter for you, but when the sanitation is not proper, and if it starts affecting your locality, your district, your state, your nation, then you can imagine how much quantity of amount or productivity is being lost just because there is no proper sanitation. Okay, now if I go to this urban status, okay, it is estimates for 2008 where 18% of urban Indian population defecating in the open, 7% using unimproved toilets, that is about 75% population having access to sanitation, and 51% individual toilets and 24% sharing toilets. Here I'd like to elaborate. As per 2008, okay, 18% of urban population were defecating in the open. So this itself is quite shocking. I guess 12 years back, okay, 18% of the people who are living in urban areas. So who are these people? Basically these are the people who are living in slum. They don't have any toilet. So what they do, they basically go for an empty space, yard or railway track. So all these things are causing environmental difficulties over there. Similarly, 7% are using unimproved toilets. That is, 7% of the total urban population in India is again using unimproved toilets. That is, their toilets have been built up, but there are no proper maintenance of those particular things, or else no proper cleaning of those particular things. So they are also causing a lot of difficulties. 75% of population having access to sanitation, in that 51% individual toilets, 24% shared toilets. So we can imagine that 24% still sharing of toilets is being available. So it indicates the amount of sanitation scope even for rural as well as urban areas in India is quite high. The National Sample Survey estimated that 77% of households have septic tanks, flush latrines, and 8% pit latrines, 1.6% service latrines, 1% other latrines, and 11% without any latrines. So you can check out, 77% of the people have this flush tank or septic tank. So all these will come under your first module itself. Okay, so we'll understand what these two pit latrine or septic tank or flush latrine, all the things means. But statistically speaking, there are still what I can say 23% of people who don't have access to this septic tank or anything. Even the thing is just building of those toilets are not enough. Once you build a toilet, that particular feces or urine that needs to be properly disposed. If you don't dispose that, then automatically that is going to again create a secondary problem. So this point is relating to that. About 58% of households have latrines of their own exclusive use, that is individual. 24% household use shared, 6.5% use community or public latrines, whereas 11% don't have access to any of these. So obviously they go for open defecation. So this is the scenario for urban. About 30 million urban residents were without access to toilets, another 7 million using service and others unimproved toilets. Accounting for population growth, about 40 million urban residents are likely to be without access to toilets in 2011. Now, if I take the population into consideration, so in the previous slide we have discussed with respect to the percentage. Now, if I take the numbers into consideration, 40 million urban residents in India are not having access to any toilets in 2011. So it might have reduced it now, but again, the amount of population growth that has occurred is also going to contribute to this. The proportion of households without access to any toilets has declined to 11%. Okay, although a high proportion of households are dependent on shared or community public latrines. The situation in urban slums is worrisome. Non-notified slums bearing of burnt of neglect. The percentage of notified and not notified slums without latrines was 17% and 51% respectively. That is, as I was speaking about the slums, right? So even the slums, in that your house, if it is registered, if that area is registered, then the municipality or corporation are going to provide you with the basic sanitation facility. But if your structure itself is illegal, then there is no government authority for providing all these things. Okay, legally speaking. So at that point of time, you can check out, 17% of the slums are registered, whereas 51% of the slums are still not registered. In turn, it indicates they don't have access to any of these sanitation works. In respect of these sanitation latrines, the availability was 66% and 35%, and for underground sewage, the availability was 30% and 15% respectively. In an urban area, safe disposal of human excreta is the biggest challenge. Now you can imagine, every day we get up, we do our morning freshen up things, and we get back to your colleges or our work. But what actually goes into maintaining hygienic or sanitary conditions throughout the city, throughout the locality, is going to be the biggest challenge. Just imagine, right now in Belgaum city, they come for the collection of solid waste. Imagine they don't come for a month. What actually happens over there? All your dustbins which are there will overflow. Even if you dump it in that common dustbins or in the locality which are available or installed by the municipality, even they, if they get filled up, and if you are staying there for an entire month, if they don't collect it, imagine what will be your condition. Okay, so to understand the severity, and even for you to understand this and write it in the examination, basically you can give some practical examples over there. So with respect to all those points, if I need to say, sanitation is going to become very much important for maintaining these hygienic conditions, as well as for development of any locality, state, country. Now, with all these theoretical aspects, what we have covered, so what actually we should do practically to implement these things? Because sanitation understanding till now we have done it. What are the different problems? What are the statistics? We have studied it. But how you are going to implement that? So that is also going to be important. So for that, creating a demand for safe sanitation services. That is, it can be done through social marketing of sanitation and behavior change communication for rural sanitation. That is, you need to promote or market this particular sanitation in such a way that the people will understand the scenario. And even I am sure that at least a few of you might have never thought about this sanitation in this depth. Imagine if you want to throw a wrapper inside your on the road, or else even in any of the locality or any area. So we never think. We just throw it and we say what will happen if one person throws, right? But if you consider this for every person, and ultimately how much it is going to cost for us. First, it is going to cost for the well-being of the human beings. In turn, second, it is going to cost for the socio-economic development of that particular locality, as well as in turn for the whole country. It is going to get affected, because in the previous slide we have studied 6.4% of the GDP will be lost only because of the poor sanitation works. So marketing needs to be done so that the mentality of the people are changing and they are ready to adopt this suitable sanitation services. Meeting the demand for safe sanitation service. That is, only marketing is not enough. Even the demand should be met by the municipality or administrative works offices for meeting the demands for safe sanitation service. That is, once a demand has been created, ensuring delivery of these services through capacity building of mission and providing a wide range of suitable sanitation technologies. That is, imagine through this marketing, you made sure that the village people are understanding the need for sanitation. Okay, once they are ready to adopt, then your administrative section or your government should be able to meet that demand. So it is not like that now the rural people or even the urban people, they have changed their mindset, they are ready to adopt all these things, but the government or the corporation or the authority office which is there, they don't have the ability to meet the expectation of the people. So that should not be there. Even this is one of the important point for the implementation of sanitation. Next, we have ensuring sustainability of sanitation infrastructure and behavior. That is, ensuring sustainability of sanitation infrastructure and behavior, institutional, policy and other measures to ensure sustainability of the sanitation infrastructure and behavior. So what does this mean is, Demand is being created through marketing. The office has administrative office has met up with all the demands, but now once it is being built up, the people needs to properly utilize these facilities. There should not be any what I can say negligence in the utilization part. So proper utilization should be there. Imagine if let us say a public toilet which is used by the public is not be is being destroyed in one or the other way, then what will be the consequences? So that's why we should have a policy, fixed policy, and institutional in the sense the people should be educated about how they should use these facilities. In turn, it will be sustainable for a long time. So it is not like that. So today the government has built up 1,000 toilets, so in another 2 years all these 1,000 toilets will be waste. No, it cannot be like that, because we have spent a lot on those particular structures. Then those structures needs to be utilized for coming n number of years. So how that is possible? By educating the people on how to use that. If something goes wrong in those structures, then we should have a separate policy or other matters or regulations that will be fixed up. Then only this sustainability will come into picture. Okay, so these are the three main aspects for strategic implementation of sanitation. So till now what we have studied is basically about what is sanitation concept, what are the significance, next what is the world scenario, what is the rural scenario for India, and what is the urban scenario in India. So based on all these things you need to fix up few of the points for sanitation works. Okay, methods of sewage disposal. So this is the second aspect what we are going to cover. So once the sewage is generated, so till now we have just seen regarding the improvement or else need for sanitation and its significance. Now once the second part of that will be regarding the sewage. Okay, so once this sewage is generated, how you are going to dispose that? First thing is a raw sewage can directly be disposed of. Second thing, you can have some preliminary treatment or a primary treatment, what is going to be there, then you can directly dispose it off. So this is what we can call it as partial treatment. Okay, so with the partial treatment you can take it out. Third one will be you can have primary as well as secondary treatment done to this, then you can dispose of this sewage. Okay, so now this disposal of sewage can be done in basically three ways if I need to tell you, but by state of that particular disposal will be two. So that is being shown as by dilution and by land treatment. Okay, so try to imagine this dilution in the sense what you are leaving it into the river or stream or pond or whatever that river sorry receiving water body is going to be. So dilution, it is indicating what? Any kind of liquid in which the receiving water stream in which you are going to dispose the sewage. Or land application. So land application in the sense what? You can use this in irrigation. Irrigation in the sense what? Since this treated wastewater can be used as a irrigation water, one thing, or you can use it for farming. So that is the second thing. Even partially for irrigation, the same thing, you can use it for farming. Third thing is, if imagine your land which is there, okay, it is having less amount of nutrients. So at that point of time what you can do is there are specific guidelines you need to follow, and with through which you can actually get this wastewater and you can just dump it on your ground. Okay, and wait for let us say few days where the nutrients from this, or else nutrient in the sense what, all your NPKs which are required for the growth of the crops, so all those things will be absorbed by the soil media. Okay, so that your nutrient content of the soil will increase. So even this is one of the methods, but this you cannot do it every day or every month. So there are specific fixed guidelines through which you need to go with that. So these are a bit of ways in which you can dispose that sewage by land. Okay, now again this disposal methods will depend on these particular aspects which have been listed over here. One is composition, that is the contents which are going to be there. Next is quality. Third is characteristics of sewage. Okay, so based on the components, quality and characteristics, you are going to fix up whether this sewage can be directly disposed of, or this sewage needs to be partially treated before disposing of, or this sewage needs to be have both the primary and secondary treatment before disposing of. So that depends on this particular aspect. Now one more thing I'd like to explain here is with respect to what do you mean by this primary and secondary treatments. Okay, so even in your previous semester we have discussed this. Okay, so what do you mean by primary or preliminary? So these are nothing but where your chemical and physical uh, treatments are going to be at a much more significant. So here physical and chemical treatment are going to be there for as of much significance. That is, if you want to remove any of the suspended solids or debris, so that can be removed over here, whether it is organic or inorganic in nature. But whenever it comes to the secondary treatment, it is purely biological treatment. Most of the time it is biological treatment where you are going to use various microorganisms for the degradation of dissolved pollutants. So dissolved pollutants may be in the form of organic or inorganic. So basically this secondary treatment indicates your biological treatment, primary treatment indicates your physical or chemical treatment which is going to be there. So these are the different options of sewage disposal. Along with that, it's primary and means different ways of treating it. So all these primary treatment and secondary treatment we are going to study in detail in the coming modules.